Hello, 44-241 students. The purpose of today's video is just to review a couple of things that we did in class yesterday. All of these videos are going to be done unrehearsed and unpracticed, and there are going to be lots of errors in them, so I just wanted to warn you ahead of time. Feel free to take the worst errors, the worst flubs that I make, and put them on YouTube. Actually, this is going to go on YouTube anyways. After you've launched NetBeans, the first thing you're going to do is launch and create a new project, and you'll want it to be a Java application. You can store it anywhere you want by clicking on Browse. I'm content with it showing up in this folder, and I'm just going to call this Video Demo 0 since this is a test of sorts. And when I click on Finish, it will create a brand new Java project. The project's actually ready to run right now, and if I clicked on the little green arrow here, it would run. Unfortunately, it wouldn't do very much, so we're going to do something to make it a little bit better. First of all, a couple of things. You'll notice that there's already a template created here. Everything in Java must exist in a class, and to create a class you'll say public class, and then you'll give a class name. We'll talk about identifier details later, and then you'll have a curly bracket to mark the beginning of the class and a curly bracket that marks the end. Everything in Java must be in a class. The thing that you traditionally put in a class are methods and variables, and I'm going to lose this comment here for just a moment because it's in my way. And here's an example of a method. This is in fact the most important method. It's called main, and it has a very complex signature which we'll understand by the end of this class. Public static void main, and it has one parameter, a string array called args. And a method, just like a class, has a starting and ending curly bracket. Inside here you put the statements, and because this is the main method, anything you put here will execute automatically when the program starts. So let's do something. Let's go ahead and say System.out.println. This will cause what you see in here to be printed. Now, statements in Java must end with a semicolon, and so we put a semicolon here. And in here I can print all sorts of things. I could print numbers, 45. I could print strings, is a number. And I could do all sorts of things like that. There are two variations on println. There's print and println. Println causes whatever in parentheses to be printed, and then a new line character is appended so that this would print the number 45 and then the cursor would be on the next line. If I said instead System.out.print 45, it would print out the number 45 and then the cursor would end up right next to the 5, so that these two lines would in fact print on one line. 45 is a number, and because the second statement is a println statement, it would then add a new line character. Alright, so there's print and println. We declare variables by writing the data type. So here's the general syntax. Data type, variable name. And you can also write data type, variable name equals value. So there are two types of statements. So for example, if I want to declare a variable called age, I could just write int age. Right now it doesn't have a value in it. And in fact, if I tried to print it out at this point, I would get an error message because it's concerned it doesn't have an initial value. And this is an error. I won't be able to run the program at this point. If I want to give it a value, I can assign it a value here, or I could simply, on a separate line, once I've declared it, I could assign it a value, let's say 19. And then it would go ahead and print it out. I have a number of different data types at my disposal. I have ints, I have doubles. So for instance, this represents a floating point number with a certain amount of precision that we don't need to worry about just now. There are booleans. So we could have a boolean called is square, and this will have a value of either true or false. Unlike Python, true or false are lowercase, so it's lowercase t and lowercase f to start the names. Let's see, what else might we want to mention? Oh, strings. So we can have a string. So we can have a string called name is equal to, I will temporarily, for the purposes of this video, rename myself Michael the Great. So here we have a video. And I can then, I'm going to have a title. And so I now have two strings, and I could print out this is how I would print out. If I have to print out more than one item in a println statement, I would print out each item with a plus in between. Now, at this point, with all these little doodles here, we have a way to create variables, ints, doubles, booleans, and strings, and we have a way of providing output. But perhaps the most interesting thing in a program is to be able to provide input. So I'm going to get rid of all this right now. We don't need it. And I am going to write a little magic statement here, import java.util.scanner. I need that for what I'm going to do next. And I'm going to create another object, and I'm going to use the same principle that we used before. I give the data type, I give the name, and then to create an object, I say the word new, the name of the class, and then I put a set of empty parentheses here. And I'm going to write System.in. What this has done, and we will go over this statement many times, or statements like this many times, is it creates an object. I'm creating an object called of type scanner. And a scanner is able to read from whatever location you tell it. And in this case, I'm telling it to read from System.in, which is a fancy way of saying the keyboard. It's standard input. After it's created this object, it stores it in this variable. Just like before we had a string, we say that name is going to be of type string, so it's going to be able to store a sequence of characters, which is what a string is. And if I can write this long enough, or enough times, then maybe you'll believe it. After I've, and the same format is being used here. I say the data type, I give the name of the variable, and then I assign a value. It's a little bit unusual here because it doesn't look like a value, but it's making an object, and that object is now available to us. And here's how we can use this. So first, I'm going to print something that says enter weight. Okay, and this is going to print out the words enter weight, and because I've used print rather than println, it'll do it on one line. And then I'm going to say double weight is equal to. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use courier.nextDouble. What this will do at this point is stop the program. Sorry, somehow that became next byte. Let's try it again. It's going to, as the program is executing, it'll do this line, then this line, then this line. It comes down to this line, and on the right-hand side, it says, wait, let me stop for a moment and allow the person to type something at the keyboard. And as soon as they press enter, whatever they have typed, assuming it's a number, I'm going to put into weight. And so, your weight is plus weight plus pounds. And there we have it. So